Uh, you are watching the #1 podcast in the whole entire YouTube wrestling community, and I'm one of your hosts, Juanzo.
And I'm your other host, Jean-Paul Leck.
And together we are...
Road Break.
And you guys see us all excited. You know the answer for that is NXT UK. You know, we bring like the best show in the WWE. We love it, and what a great show. You know, a 1 hour packed with action that makes sense, continuity, you know, logical storytelling, debuts, more matches for next week. We're really excited about this. So thank you for being with us. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell for all notifications. We're always putting content. So, Paul, I want you to tell me about this. Like, you know, this first like video that we're super like, we want people to help us out. AEW Dynamite review. Sammy Guevara saw our story. He actually gave us a thumbs up. So thank you, Sammy, for that. He leaves the inner circle.
Oh, do I have to talk about this episode of Dynamite again? No. Just kidding. I mean, check it out. You know, family, please, you know, support like you always do. We greatly appreciate it. But yeah, Dynamite last night. Sammy Guevara, he finally called it quits. You know, just like Rope Break's gonna call it quits on AEW. No, just kidding. We're never gonna do that. But no. Sammy, you know, this is good for him. He's breaking away, and you know, we saw a match that actually surprised me with the quality of it with Joey Janela, Darby Allin, but then we saw Darby Allin got dragged away by Team Taz, so lots of development there and stuff, you know, for the mid-card title. And, you know, in the main event, we just saw, in you know, I don't really know how to say it besides a clusterfuck. You know what I mean? It was just a lot of stuff going on. Kenta kind of felt like an afterthought to us, and we thought he should have been the main focus because you're really trying to get that New Japan deal over. But, you know, the heel team won, Omega and Kenta, so we'll see where that feud goes moving forward with Moxley and Archer.
Don't forget to watch that video, family. Be there for us. But, like, thank you also for the comments and everything that you do for this channel. We love you all. This show started, Paul, with Isla Dont. You know, like we were going to have a big debut. Somebody that like is being hyped for like a few weeks already. So Isla Dont, the White Witch, like they call her. She's a cool wrestler. I like her. I think there's a lot of future. They mentioned she had a match with Asuka like on 2017. I think maybe when they did on tour in UK on the days that we can actually go places. But like this is not the main focus. That we're not.
I think she might have actually been in like the main NXT show. And then when they started UK, they were like, oh well, obviously she's from the UK, so it's like, you know, let's move her over there. I believe so. Don't quote me on that, but I believe.
No, don't quote on that.
Yeah.
But, you know, we go with the main debut, like we said. We're not going to do the same thing that AEW with the Kenta. Meiko Satomura, right there. Like, you know, they make her look like a big deal. Like, you know, like, for example, you see Saya Brookside right there. She's walking by to the outside. And then you see, like, Piper Niven also. Everybody's just looking for her. Like, the music, extremely great, you know, and, like, a really great presence. So I was really happy with this. You know, boom, right there. Our girl Meiko Satomura, really, really cool. And, you know, like the match quality, I really like. Isla Dont didn't look bad. Could it possibly be a little shorter for you or no?
See, that's the thing. I'm a really big fan of Isla Dont, so I didn't mind this going a little bit longer because if it was a squash match, you know, 30 seconds, she goes in there, boom, 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 hits her finisher and done. It's like, oh, is she Goldberg? or can she actually wrestle? Talking about Meiko Satomura, because this is the first a lot of us are really seeing her. Yeah, I believe she was in the Mae Young Classic?
Yes, she was.
Did they show that? Yeah, but it's like, you know, unless you saw her match or two that she was in, you know, you're probably not going to have much, you know, experience watching her matches. So this was a good showcase, not just for Isla Dont to hang with such a tough competitor, but for Meiko to be like, hey, all the fans of WWE NXT UK, this is what I can do. So I didn't mind this going long, a little bit longer. And, you know, I was a big fan of this match. Meiko Satomura is just, you know, so legit. You know, all the things they say about her, like, oh, you know, she's the final boss. Because anytime she steps into a locker room, all the women, that's who they want to go against. They want to test themselves. You know, like the final boss of a video game, that's the hardest challenge. Meiko Satomura is the hardest challenge in any female's division. So this was a good showcase for her. And
what better way? Sorry, I'm cutting you up, but like,
no.
What better way to like, you know, make her look like even like a bigger deal than like everything that you just mentioned with like having the champion outside. Yeah. She came out. She was right there the whole time watching the whole match.
Yeah, Keely D. She wanted to come. She wanted to come out and, you know, see what, you know, maybe what all the buzz was all about. And I'm sure, you know, outside the world of kayfabe, you know, she knows what all the buzz is about. She knows Meiko's legit, and she probably just wanted to see this match, you know, firsthand, not from a little monitor in the back. And, you know, just Meiko's offense is so good. And like they say, there's no wasted motion. It's not like what we see sometimes in the other women's division on, you know, Wednesday nights where it's like, oh, they hit a move and then they have to throw their arms out to the non-existent crowd and be like, oh, look at me. No, she hits a move, goes into a cover or goes into a submission or, an arm bar, a headlock, something. She's so legit, just like, the punches, the kicks, the strikes are all impactful. Like, we said about Kenta's go to sleep, not even coming close. No, she connects with these punches. I'm sure Isla Dont felt this match when it was over. And, this was legit. I loved like the handspring into the axe kick that she does. That's an awesome move.
They call it the final dragon or something like that. I think like McGinnis called her that. Beautiful move. I really liked it.
Yeah, and then she and just like the superplex, and I believe the finisher is like the Scorpio something is her finisher. She almost does. It's kind of like a jumping. Yeah, like a jumping like scissor kick to the back of the head. But I mean, it's just like you think like, oh, a scissor kick, really? But when it's a scissor kick that's done like this and it looks like it hurts that much, you tell me if you'd get up from a scissor kick like that. So, see, that's the whole thing. When you hit a move and it looks super impactful, to me, I believe it as a finisher. So, it was a legit match. I love how Kaylee Ray held up the championship. And you think that this is going to be the next feud. And then, the other woman who we've been saying for, since we started covering, you could say the relaunch of NXT UK, we heard from her as well, Eva Valkyrie. So who knows, but this women's division is definitely a hidden gem, I think, in NXT UK. But with Meiko Satomura, I don't think it's going to be hidden for too much longer.
Well, again, she said she's ready for Kaylee Yay. So she said a lot of things in Japanese, but then I think she said, I'm ready for Kaylee Ray. So like you said, right away, she's going to be the main feud. And where everybody's happy with it, like the intensity. This woman is amazing.
No, I don't know if they'll do something in next week or in 2 weeks. It'll be like, oh, Meiko says, oh, I want a title shot. I think they're going to have her maybe do a couple matches here and there, and she's going to earn, that, because you got to think, even though there's no pay-per-views, there's no, nobody buys, oh, I want to see this match, so I'm going to spend $60 on the pay-per-view. That doesn't exist anymore, really. Yeah. So, but, you still don't want to give away the big match right away. So I hope they build this, maybe we see her versus some other heels, and maybe we see, or maybe they do a number one contender match. Her versus Eva Valkyrie would be legit. So, I'm really excited.
Yeah, you're talking about Eva Valkyrie right there. We had like a little bit of a promo by her, like still like dark. The girl is still like tries to find herself, talking about the feathers, how the birds, fly when they're ready. And then you kind of see like, I don't want to see a heel turn, but maybe like a more violent character of her. Like you see like kind of like going like into the Fiend. You kind of saw like in the picture, like she's getting darker and a lot of more like violent, so to say. So I like this. I don't know where this is going, but I don't know if she's going to stay as babyface or heel. But at least we got to hear from her because we haven't seen her in like at least a month. So that's good that like she's still part of the brand and they still want to do something with her.
Yeah, I like this. And even when characters are kind of like that, and it's just like, because you think it's like real, where sometimes in our own lives, we don't know. Not saying like, oh, you could either be heel or babyface, you know what I mean, like in real life. But yeah, I mean, everything's wrestling, we know that. But it's like, you're just unsure of the path you want to go in your life, kind of deal. So maybe that's something like this, and we're gonna see, because maybe they thought, oh, she's gonna be the woman next in line, and then Meiko Satomura goes, yeah, I'll sign with NXT UK, and they go, oh, it's Valkyrie, so like we gotta put you on hold. Exactly, we gotta put you on hold. So who knows? But I am glad to see this, and I mean, there is tons of matches you can do. Ginny's still there, even though we saw her, or part of her get involved in another feud. So I mean, the whole, like I said earlier, the women's division is great on this brand.
We'll use your word, hidden gem, and like you want to be extremely excited. This guy, you're extremely excited in every single like selling your body. Dani Luna. We got like a promo by this girl, like she's a bodybuilder or like
power lifter.
Yeah, power lifter. There you go, a power lifter. Like she's had a few like matches. She's been on the show a few times, not regularly, but at least we got a promo by her. And that's one thing that like you and me always like accentuate. Why? Because we need characters to get behind the guys. You can be the greatest wrestler in the world, but like if you don't have a character, you suffer. You don't have you're not the complete package. You don't have it. In the words of like all cornets on the preachers and all of that. So we got to hear about her. She said that like all her years of powerlifting show her that she has to keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and it's not a baby, it's just pushing to get what she wants. So good stuff. Like I know you were loving this. So hopefully that means a small push for her.
Yeah, and if this is what I would do for her, like I said, you're not going to do Kaylee Ray versus Meiko Satomura, but wouldn't you love to see a hard-hitting, legit match between Dani Luna and Meiko Satomura?
Yeah. There you go.
That would be obviously not a feud, but like, hey, let's have a match, and or maybe they do have a feud. Maybe it's like, oh, okay, do I have 2 out of 3 matches or something? Yeah,
here. Hey,
yeah, yeah. Like, I don't care who you are, don't jump the line. Hey, like, just because you were so legit somewhere else, you got to start at the bottom here, like everybody else
over here. Yes, so like I like that. So like let's go to like the next segment that you love. So Supernova Sessions with our boy Noam Dar. This was absolutely amazing. We already revealed last week that he was gonna have a guest in the show, and then it was gonna be Shaw Samuels. So that was like really good. Like he comes out at
and they're really good friends, and that'll be like when you and I can finally see each other in person again.
Yes,
we'll be
we're gonna have the road break sessions.
Yeah, exactly. And this was good. I love Noam Dar. I love in the beginning when he's just like, oh, my therapist told me I need to listen to what the little Noam Dar and the little baby Noam inside wants. And then he's like, and then he yells to the guy off screen. He's like, call up my therapist and tell her she's fired. She's bullshit. And all this stuff. I mean, it's just, it's just so funny. And then Shaw comes out and, he says, what was the name? Ed something? He's like,
Ed Hanley.
Yeah, he's like, they tried to give me this bullshit name and all this stuff. Yeah, and I love how there's like the steel folding chair there, and he's like, what, am I supposed to sit here? And he's like, no, that chair is for the losers. He's like, you got to sit on the Supernova sofa over here with me.
Yeah.
I love it. Like, this is, for some reason, it's, people be like, oh, but don't you hate, the Miz TV segments? To me, Noam Dar has way more charisma than The Miz.
Yes.
That's what it is. It's the charisma. The Miz has, in my opinion, at least nowadays, zero charisma.
So. And it's not overdone, and I feel probably, like, again, we always mention, like, they give them pointers rather than the whole thing that they got to just repeat. So maybe when you can improvise, be more you, it'll come out more natural. And
definitely.
Love you a lot more. So I like this. And, like, you see the interaction, they're probably truly best friends. And that's why it came out really good.
Yeah, this was good. And then I like, because Shaw, that he gets fired up once they start talking, and he's like, all these assholes here in NXT UK, they wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me. So pretty much saying like, oh, we wrestled on the indies, I made you guys look good, and you got signed before me. So like, that's kind of bullshit. And, then who was it? Sid Scala comes out, and then he's like, "Oh, tell the help to get out of here. I don't want, what's this guy doing here?" And he's like, "No, he's not the help. He's like, he's the assistant to the general manager." And then they're like, "Oh, okay, sorry." And then because Noam Dar was like, "Oh, he was saying to Sid, or not to Sid, excuse me, to Shaw. He's like pretty much kind of saying like he's the heritage, he's the history, like." And it's like, heritage, how about, because there's still that feud in the heat with Noam Dar and A-Kid, or A-Man. There's still the feud there. Yeah. So, he's like, how about you go against A-Kid? And then Sid comes out, and he's like, well, I got to talk, to Johnny Saint and everything. So I like this, because it's a long feud between A-Kid and Noam Dar. So I don't know. I guess Noam Dar is hurt. That's kind of why they're doing this.
Probably.
But I would love to see when he comes back, him versus A-Kid would be legit.
So. They made it official, like you said, right away. They made it official. The Shaw Samuels next week is going to be against the A-Kid. And like you said, this is like, I remember you were just called. I don't know if like the cup is going to be a championship, and it actually is. Without revealing, it is, because they said, oh, it's going to be for like the Heritage Cup Championship. So the only thing I would much rather like to see a belt rather than just a cup, or like, if it is a cup, stays a cup, but like it doesn't mean both things. But that's only me.
Yeah, I mean, you could honestly do both. Like, let's say, A-Kid, he won the 2020, right? Or was it in January?
2020, yep.
Yeah, the 2020 Heritage Cup winner. He has the cup. It says 2020 on it, but then you also give him a belt. So he keeps the cup. He can put that on his dresser. He can put that in the kitchen, wherever he wants to put his cup. And then, but hopefully not, between his legs. It's not that kind of cup. And then, but he has the belt, and he defends the belt. But the cup he keeps. That I wouldn't be a problem with, because I do like that when the belt. That should be what's defended, not like a cup. But, I do like this. And, of course, then they were joking around. Oh, yeah, remember that time in Blackpool? And he's like, no, you can't say that in public.
And then that's what they call the segment. But, like, good interactions. I really like that. It's extremely good stuff. Let's go to another, like, mini feud that they were, like, hyping for, like, this episode of NXT. Right there, like you said, first time we see Johnny Saint in such a long time. So that was cool. At Rampage Brown. And
I didn't even know who that was. I was like, who? I thought Johnny Saint was, like, he was a non-existent person.
Oh
for a
yeah,
second. I thought he was like Zordon. He was just a
like
face
the
in a
general
tube.
manager. Yeah, when they got the computer. No, Johnny Saint's actually a person. Probably is not there because of COVID. That's how the explanation is. They don't want him around. He's, of course, you can see as an older person, so they don't want any risk when it comes to him. But like he said, hey, everybody in the WWE universe or NXT UK universe wants to see this match. So next week, you two are gonna go against each other, which is good. We said it. The only thing that I just will add it is like you two are gonna have a number one contender. But maybe it's implied. But what do you think?
I feel with how legit this brand is and how much they respect Walter and the championships. Boom, they said, okay, A-Kid, you're going against Shaw Samuels. That's for the the Heritage Cup. If this was a number one contendership, I feel they would have said it. But I do feel the winner of this is obviously going to call out Walter. And I do like this segment. I love that they're doing this match. It's time. And speaking of its time, I think Walter, because of what we saw in the NXT, last night, they had a little promo. Imperium was saying, oh, yeah, Alexander Wolf, Marcel Bartel, Fabian Eichner, Walter. They went through all the names. Maybe Walter is going to drop that belt and come over to the main NXT. And then we might see him versus Finn Balor, Walter versus Karrion Kross. I mean, there's so many legit matches you could do. So maybe, who knows, Rampage Brown, Joe Coffey, maybe one of these guys, we're looking at the next NXT UK champion. Now, I think that would take a huge hit if they lose Walter. But, I mean, we got to think, we really don't see Walter all that often. So it's not like he carries this brand. I feel it's the good wrestling, the good, consistent storytelling, that really carries the brand. So if they would lose Walter, I don't think it would be as big of a hit as a lot of people might think.
No, I don't think I agree with you. I just feel that, like you said, like they have so many stories, and only being an hour is a lot easier to just book something that it makes more sense, is more logical, and you're not overdoing it.
Now,
you don't need to have the guys every single week.
The only thing, if they do that, now this is just me personally because I love the guy. If you are going to take the title off Walter, I wish it would have been Ilya.
Oh yeah,
but I mean, hey.
I mean, if it has to happen. We'll see what they do, but like, is really interesting. So we'll go like, let's go to like a women's match. We have like our girl Piper Niven. Piper Niven.
No, she's your girl. Do you like the new hair? Do you like that?
Yeah, no, she's a beautiful woman. She's like gorgeous. I mean, can she win a championship? That's a different story. Like
any women who watch Rope Break, if you look like Piper, comment.
Please comment and
comment for Wanzo.
Yeah, but coming for the ones for the left side, for the left side of the screen, she goes against Amel. This match was really quick. Amel got like the upper hand, early in the match. She kind of showed a little bit of like resiliency. I liked it. At least she's showing a little bit.
Yeah, and of course, Amel got, like you said, this was mostly a showcase for Piper, and it's like Amel, she looked good, but she kind of got jobbed a little bit here, and it's like, oh yeah, she was trained by Timothy Thatcher, and it's like, oh okay, that's why she got beaten, 5 minutes because of Timothy Thatcher.
Exactly.
But no. I mean, all joking aside, I do, like we said, this women's division is so deep. There's so many. Obviously you can't push them all. And the main focus of this was the storyline because we saw Joseph Connors. He came out, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna cost the match. It's gonna, because I always think it's probably because of, with AEW and even the main NXT, you always think, oh, there's gonna be interference, there's gonna be bullshit. And that's what I thought here, but no, he just wanted to watch the match. He gave the little golf clap after Piper Niven, hit the Piper driver for the win. And, so that's going to be the next feud. Ginny, I think, versus Piper Niven. Or maybe Piper's going to turn heel, and it's one of the things, if you can't beat him, join him. Maybe that'll be a little faction. Who knows? And again, I love, what did we say in AEW? We hate when the feud is so predictable you can see from the beginning to the end. With all these, we don't know what they're going to do. Is Walter going to leave? Is Niven going to be babyface or turn heel? We don't know, and that's what makes his brand so great.
Making it predictable is what is the downside, but if you just keep it like it, just don't tell me the end where this is going to end up being. That's what I like. And also, we got to hear from another girl. Samuels. There you go. Ninasana. Like, she's like, hey, I accept the rematch with Xia Brookside. She said, but it's going to be under my own time and it's going to be under my own stipulations. And in the end, I'm just going to show you that you are only good to carry my bags. So you have, like you said, like the women in this show have been, presented like really good. Like there's like 3 or 4 stories in between the women itself. You know, they have
Yes.
Aura, they have Nina, they have Piper, and they have, the title. So like they're actually developing everybody in a really nice way, and it's really organic. It's really nice.
I would honestly say now they might not have the star power of the Io Shirai's, Tony Storm and all that stuff, but I think that overall their women's division is more put together with the storylines and the characters than the main NXT.
Yes. Yeah.
Because like the people feel legit. Like you said, you have the title feud, you have this feud, that feud, this, but all of them feel legit. It's not like, oh yeah, Shotzi Blackheart, her tank's destroyed, so she's going to run over Robert Stone.
And and they all have like at least something to fight for. There's like animosity between Zay and Samuels. Okay, Mako just show up. Okay, maybe Dani Luna. Okay, let's have something going on here. Okay, Lee Ray, I'm the champion, so I gotta like wait for Jeannie, Piper Niven, Amel, all of them, and Valkyrie. Hey, I'm waiting. I'll show up at some point. So stick around. So I like that. They have like really great storytelling in NXT.
Yes.
And that's the part that like keeps them like, that's why we love to see this show. We don't, it's not that we drag when we watch this. We actually enjoy it. So now let's go to like something that is going to happen, in 2 weeks. And it's finally, there's going to be Gallus, going against Pretty Deadly, not Pretty Lethal. I promise you, but I will not batch more of the names. So like, there you go. They're going to be, they signed the contract, and they actually gave us a really nice video package saying both teams, made them like look good. And I like this, like Pretty Deadly might end up becoming champs.
Yeah, and see, they actually, even though they're new to us, like we said, our first experience was when we started covering the relaunch of NXT UK, and but I feel like they have more character already. Even though they look like two middle-aged white women right there, but I mean, they still, I feel like they have more character than Gallus. Because Gallus to me is like, oh yeah, we're the two guys who stand behind Joe Coffey.
Yeah.
Joe Coffey does all the talking. He's the one who has the character. We know they're tough badasses, but other than that, who are they? I mean, Pretty Deadly. Like they're like, oh yeah, we're in Gallus's head, and they're like, hey boy, or whatever they say. Like it's funny.
Hey mate.
It's funny, and they look goofy. Like we said, maybe it's like a little effeminate. Maybe metrosexual, however you want to call it, but. These guys have a tag finisher, so now we're like, okay, they're legit. And I would put the belts on them. I mean, Gallus had a long title reign, and I feel the tag division is, I don't want to say the weakest point of the show because there's so many talented teams, but I feel like that's the division that's kind of lacking the storylines, and it always starts at the top. So to me, I gotta not blame the champs, but hey, maybe changing the champions will like kind of reshake up the division.
More like shaking up, more storylines. And like you said, it's good, especially, what we say all the time. Heel champion, the baby faces chase. They chase after it. It makes more sense. And like you have, we're going to talk about the main event. There's a babyface team that just won, so that's another important storyline. I know that you love this, and this guy actually is still going in his road to challenge Jordan Devlin for the Cruiserweight Championship. Trend 7, I love it. Like he's like, hey, I'm just trying to, regroup. I'm trying to get that under 205. I'm working. And you see him like working out, all of that. So you see a little bit of your journey. It's like you say, hey, I'm still here. I'm trying to get to that weight, and once I'm ready, I'll go to Jordan Devlin. So that's good.
Yeah, I really like this. I just wish he was going after the NXT, UK championship, like the main belt. But with Walter, Rampage Brown, all those guys, that's kind of what their focus is now. But it's not nothing against the cruiserweight title. But I feel like as much as Trent Seven, really carried the brand early on. He's so popular. He still is. He deserves a run, I think, with the main belt. So I hope that happens at some point, because I'm really unsure if he's going to beat Jordan Devlin. Like we said, we still feel the main feud is Santos versus Devlin, unless we're hoping for a unification. But they might say, hey, we have a lot of little guys here in NXT UK. Can we have a belt, and you also have a belt, and we just both have a belt? Maybe that's what they're going to do.
Delay the unification for later on. So you never know. But like you said, if they do all these video packages, I hope that they don't just waste them.
I hope he wins. He deserves to hold some kind of singles gold in NXT UK.
Exactly. So we mentioned a lot of things that are going to happen next week. Next week also, Ben Carter is going to be in action. See, another little guy. You mentioned it. Not little, but under 205. Right there. He's has a lot of future. Comparing him with like Seth Rollins, trained by him, AJ Styles, everybody, like great guy. Also, like he's going to be in action. So that's another tease right there. You know, that could be maybe like Trent Seven and him. You know what I mean? Like, there's like a lot of guys that like Jack Stars can be right there also in that mix. So like, there's a lot of people that can actually challenge, you know, Jordan Devlin for that. Like, so I like your idea better if they just stick to that, just having that division right there. So, like, let's move on to the main event. Main event, like, that was, like, you know, we were wanting to see this. Is finally the end for, like, this feud. Is the street fight between Eddie Dennis and, you know, Primate, like, the Hunt. And we're going to talk about what happened, you know, at the beginning of the show. And then Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster. And you mentioned this to me before we went on there, that, like, Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews took out Wild Boar.
A boar, Wild Boar, or just Boar, whatever you want to call him. Yeah, they took him out. I believe it was, you know, how they always do, like, you know, dun 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 dun. When they show like Hogan slamming Andre and all that stuff. Oh, here's NXT UK, and then it was like earlier in the day. It might have even been before they play like the intro to the show. Yes. And, you know, they showed him and they were beating him down, and Sid walks by. He's like, what the hell's going on? They come out of their dressing room and they said, we're sick of the numbers game. Because they knew it would have been 3-on-2. It's a straight fight. There's no DQ. Obviously, Eddie Dennis ain't going to sit in the back, you know, eating some fish and chips watching this thing. No, he's going to come out there and he's going to get involved. So they said, well, we're going to, you know, strike first. So they took out Boar. And like we said, again, don't quote us on this. We don't know if Boar's hurt. I don't think it's COVID, because if it was COVID, it would be everybody else, because just from last week. So he probably got hurt, you know, in that crazy 4-way match. You know, go back, listen to last week, hear our thoughts on that. And, you know, just, I didn't mind it, because I thought, you know, in a real street fight, the Hunt would probably beat Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews, because just they're bigger, they're stronger. It's a fight. It's not a wrestling match. There's no rules. So for them to take out Boar and put in Eddie Dennis, while he's still big, you know, he's a little bit skinnier and stuff. So I thought it made it a more even playing field. But they thought, Jean-Paul, this ain't going to be no even playing field, because they beat up Mark Andrews in the back.
It started out, they started. Imagine that they, you know, before we go to like outside to the ring, like they started like to beat each other up, and like remember they used one of those like crates, and they used that against Mark Andrews. So like the match started like 2 against 1 because of Morgan Webster against like Primate and Eddie Dennis. But the match, like, see, this is how you do a street fight, a lot better than what we saw yesterday, and we're just not comparing. But it's like it was more in the ring. They was the uses of the toys. We saw that they used the toys, but it was a little more wrestling involved. It was just like, you know, like moves outside, just punches. It was actually everything made sense, and there were like also moments where they stop.
I only had one big problem with this match, and I'm sure you can guess where it was.
The big dive.
I mean, now while it was awesome, it was like, you know, Shane McMahon as Steve Blackman, you know, or like the Jeff, you know, hundreds of Jeff Hardy spots and stuff. You know, it was legit that he, you know, did that, a New Jack, you know, all these crazy people who do these big dives, but they stood there for how long to catch him? Now, obviously, you're not going to let this guy fall on the ground and, you know, almost kill himself. But it's like, if you're in a real street fight with somebody who you hate and they jump, wouldn't you just walk away and let them splat on the ground? So I didn't like. It should have been that they were fighting and they didn't see anything, and that like they no-sold he was up there. And then when he's about to jump, he could yell, you know, just scream, and then they'll stop and look up. Even like they know, okay, he's gonna jump soon to catch him, but don't look up there. Don't make it obvious. Just be beating each other up. He yells, then you stop, look up, and catch him right away. Then to me, it would have at least looked a little more believable instead of them standing there for 5 to 10 seconds looking up, like, "Are you gonna jump, mate? Are you gonna jump?" And then he finally jumps. I mean, legit. And then, you know, finally, now it was even playing field. I do like how Morgan Webster was using his speed and stuff, and even, you know, the knee strikes and the punches and the intensity. He was holding his own until we saw Andrews make his big entrance into the match with that huge dive. And then, like you said, the toys, they had the kendo sticks. All 4 guys had chairs. They were dueling the chairs like this is Star Wars or something. You know, Morgan Webster used his helmet on Eddie Dennis. That was legit.
That was really cool. I really like that. Like you said, like the kendo sticks, they have the spots with the chairs. That was some chair shots was a little dumb. I will say.
Well, they swing it slow, because you got to think, if you really swing a chair on a chair, you know, that could fly back, hit you in the face. It could hurt your hands, you know, whatever. So they got to swing it a little slow. So sometimes I don't like that, but thankfully they only did it a little bit. It didn't, you know, go on forever.
Yeah, but other than that, like the match was absolutely great. Like I said, big spots, and you know, the whole time you were actually thinking who's gonna win, because this was like a really well done presented match. Just because like both teams actually had a shot.
Yes.
throughout the match. It wasn't one-sided, and I really like that. And some spots that you thought that like Eddie Dennis and Primer were going to win, especially when they got the table out.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be, to be honest, when he had him set up for the Razor's Edge through the table, I thought that was going to be it.
Yes.
No, and then he actually Andrews, he grabbed Webster, kind of he had him sitting up on the top turnbuckle, but they threw out Andrews, and then Webster, because he went for it again, but then he hit a Hurricane Rana, and then Bohr came in, and he went to go hit Andrews, but Andrews moved out of the way. Primate, excuse me, yeah. And he moved out of the way, goes through the table, and at that point, you got to think, okay, you look at the timer at the bottom. We only got a minute and a half. Well, the baby faces are probably going to win. Double senton and dive, and I don't like how they pinned Primate. I feel like you should have pinned the manager here, Eddie Dennis. Now I know he is a wrestler and everything, but I feel pinning him would have at least had the team of the Hunt. It still would have made them look a little better. So that's the only like minor gripe, but that's personal. That's just, it's whatever. I feel like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I it's good that the baby faces won here, and because if our prediction happens, Pretty Deadly wins, this would be a great babyface team. I know they were already tag champs, but I feel like, and we can attest to this when we covered NXT pay-per-views, when they were NXT UK pay-per-views, when there was crowd there. The crowd absolutely loves Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster. Yeah, so even though there's no crowd there now, all the fans watching at home are still behind these two. So if they would give them another run with the belts, I don't think anybody would be upset.
No, and it's fine. Like you said, I just love this team. Flash Morgan Webster, like ever since he looked like the Beatles, like he got me. And they had like a really good match. And like you said, I love that idea. Just pretty deadly with these guys. Especially Gallus, like, hey, they need to do something different. The theme song is good, but like you said, the Hunt, it hurts me a little bit that they lost because they had a lot of opportunity, but hopefully they just got to go back to just move forward.
Yeah, unless they didn't want to do that, because, it's hard to say. I guess Gallus is heel. They're kind of like an in-between, like Undisputed Era in the sense where it's like they come out and they're goofy, eating popcorn, but then they're also heels. So it's like you don't really know. But, that would be a thing, like you said. Maybe they didn't want to do heel versus heel, the Hunt versus Gallus. Maybe they didn't want to do that, so they're like, we'll do the Hunt versus Morgan Webster and Andrews. And I think that was a better feud because they brought personal stuff into it.
And you add personal things to it, the feud becomes a lot better. And this is the episode that we have for you guys. Mm-hmm. Really good, an hour of pretty good stuff. Like I said, don't forget, we keep iterating for you, keep reminding you. Absolutely live, Jean-Paul, myself. 15 minutes after SmackDown is off the air, we'll be live right here on YouTube for you. Mm-hmm. So everything. Edge is going to be there. Roman, Seth Rollins, everything that is going to happen on SmackDown. Jean-Paul, myself will cover it. Don't forget also, Saturday, same thing. No Surrender Impact. Another great, storytelling. A lot of matches were added on the last episode of Impact Wrestling. So actually, the pay-per-view is going to have 9 matches all the way. So it's going to be really great. And to add the cherry on top, NXT Vengeance Day, for the ones, Valentine's. You guys want to be our Valentines. We want to be yours. So there you go. We have a whole weekend of great stuff. Be with us, again, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and just enjoy the show. Where else can they find us?
Exactly. And, and if you want to find out when we go live, because we do it often, make sure you follow us on Rope Break on Facebook, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, Original Rope Break on Instagram, and, of course, right here, the #1 podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, the Original Rope Break.
So, there's one more thing that is left to say, and that is...